Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel leelawebdev. In the previous video, we have seen the practical implementation of installing how we can install the WordPress and also the MySQL database in our Docker container. So in this video, we will try to see the practical implementation of installing the WordPress and also the MySQL database in our Docker container. So right now here I am using the Docker container. So you need to understand that let's check my IP address. What is the IP address for this one? I am checking the IP address for this one. IP address show. So here if you try to check the IP address, so this is my static IP address which can be accessed outside of the Docker machine, and 172.17.0.1 is the Docker 0 by default interface IP address. So that means whenever you are trying to create the container, so the Docker will be assigning the IP address to this one. There is nothing but 170.17.0.2.0.3 like that. So now we need to install the WordPress and also the MySQL. So which one we need to install first, WordPress or the MySQL? So let's try to see here. So if I go into here and let's go to the Docker Hub. Okay. So I will try to check the Docker Hub. In the Docker Hub container, so what is the first one which I need to download? That is nothing but WordPress. Now let's try to open this one. Yeah, here I will be searching for WordPress. I have searched it, and if you try to see here the Docker official image, so I will be checking for the Docker official image, and this is the Docker official image for the WordPress. Now if I try to open this WordPress, and here you will be able to see the WordPress, and so it will be using the PHP, and we already know fast CGA, and the Apache server it is using in the backend, and the PHP version is 8.3. so that's it. So now if you try to see bottom, so you'll be able to see WordPress is a free source. 22% of the websites are used by WordPress only, and this is the and this is the command we need to run. So do we need to run this command first? Let's try to see it. Docker container run. So they are giving the container name and giving some network, and also -d WordPress they are doing. And if you try to see bottom, and if you like to access the instance from the host without a container IP address means, so we will be doing the port forwarding. So that's a different thing. So fine. So for here we need to have a DB host, DB username, DB password, and also a DB name, and also table prefix. So that means, so in order to install the database, so we need to have a database. In order to install the WordPress, we need to have a database first, so that I can provide the DB host, DB user as environment variables, or otherwise the WordPress will be asking randomly. So that means we need to install the MySQL first, so database first, then afterwards by using that MySQL database we will be installing the WordPress container, and in the WordPress, so we can give this all MySQL database credentials. So let's try to install the MySQL first. So depending on the situation, which one we need to install the container, we need to understand. So here in the Docker Hub, I will be searching for the MySQL. So already we have the image, I think, MySQL. Just I am opening it in order to have environment variables what we need to submit it. So MySQL, if I try to press MySQL, and also we need to have a Docker official image. So that is nothing but this is the MySQL Docker official image. Now if you try to see here MySQL, let's go down, and this is the content, this is the thing we need to run, and here we need to provide the MySQL root password. So if we come down here the environment variables, so here you'll be able to see MySQL root password we need to give, and also the MySQL database we need to create. And if you want, other than root password, if you want to create any other users means, you can give the MySQL user and the MySQL password. So that's it. So we have already in our previous videos we have installed this MySQL container, right? So in the same scenario we will be creating the MySQL container. Now let's go to the mobile xterm. So that is nothing but here I have already connected to my server. Now here let's try to see whether any available or not. If you try to see here, so we are having some Nginx container and Apache container. So what I will try to do is I will try to remove these two containers. So I will clean up these two containers. So Docker container rm Apache container, yeah, and also Nginx container. So I will be deleting this Nginx container. So press enter. So all the things will be, all the containers is deleted. So if you try to check my containers, so nothing is there. So fine. So first, what is the container we need to create? That is nothing but MySQL container. So for MySQL container, let's check that whether image is available or not. You'll be able to see that MySQL image is available. So let's try to create the container using the MySQL image. So Docker container run -d in the detached mode, and we will be not using the port forwarding. Why? Because we don't want this MySQL to be exposed to the outside. Now -d is there, run -d is there, and we need to give the name of the container. There is nothing but MySQL container I will give. And another one what we need to give, if you try to check here, the environment variables, first MySQL root underscore password and MySQL underscore database. Okay, so here I can give -e MySQL underscore root underscore password is equal to test1234. So just I am giving test1234 for the demo purpose only. So now MySQL underscore database. So for the database I am giving the WordPress. So you can give whatever the database name you want, you can give it. But at the time of WordPress installation, if you WordPress asks what is the database I need to means you need to give the WordPress whatever the database name you have given it here. That is the same name only, you need to provide it there also. That's it. So these are the thing, and at last what we need to do is we need to give the container name. That's it. Now when I try to press enter, automatically the container will be created. So container will be created within no time. So Docker container ps-a. Now you will be able to see MySQL container has been created, and it is listening to the port 3306. Let's see that whether I can able to connect to this container or not. So MySQL. So we know that MySQL client is installed in this one. So -h 172.17.17.0.2. This is the thing, and -u root and -p. So it will ask for the password. There is nothing 1234 and cannot connect to the MySQL server. So why it is cannot able to connect it? 3306 it is there, right? So SQL container, it is up. Okay, so let's try to check Docker container inspect SQL container. Okay, let's try to check it, and the IP address it is assigned is 172.17.02 only. So fine, without any problem. Let's try to check it again. So maybe the container immediately got started, right? Let's try to connect again. So MySQL -h 172.17.0.2 and -u root and -p password test1234. So now it is connected. See, so we are able to connect it. So fine. Now let's try to check the databases. Show databases. So we are able to see a WordPress database has been created there, and if you try to use that database, use database WordPress. So I'm not use WordPress. Let's try to use it directly. WordPress has been used. Now if you try to check the tables in this one, so nothing tables are there. So now MySQL has been successfully installed. Now it's time for us to install the WordPress also. So exit. So fine. Now the second image which we need to install is the WordPress. So if I go into this WordPress, so this is the WordPress we need to install it, and everything is there. So where we can create this WordPress. So now we have the DB user and all those things, right? So one thing is, so you know about the DB user, that is nothing but WordPress DB user is root, and DB password is test1234 which we have created, and DB name is the WordPress, and we doesn't have any table prefix like WP underscore or some prefix we can add it at the starting of the table, so that prefix will be there. So we haven't added any prefix for that one. So these are all the things we can provide it as an environment variables, or otherwise after installing of the container, the WordPress also will ask you these are the things. So let's try to do it in the so instead of providing the environment variables, let's try to provide it through the UI dashboard only. So here I am creating the container, so something like Docker. So right now I don't have the image, right? So right now I don't have the image of the WordPress. So first I need to download the image, right? Docker pull. So I am not pulling the image. Directly I am creating the container without having the image. So that means what it will try to do, first it will try to check in locally whether the WordPress image is there or not. If it is not there means then it will download the WordPress image and then it will try to create the container. So let's try to do the second version. So docker container run -d -name WordPress -container. That's it. So this is the name I have given and this is the thing I have given. Now what I will try to do is I will give the port forwarding. So -p 1890 should be listened to the 80. Okay. So we should give gap or not, I don't remember exactly. Yeah. So that's it. So 8090 port will be accessed from the 192.168.0.13 and 80 port is the default port of this container. Fine. So that's it, and I will give the last is the WordPress image. So it's enough. So these are more than enough. And if I click here, unable to find the image WordPress latest locally, and it is pulling from the Docker Hub. So it will take some time to download this WordPress, as that WordPress image is little bit larger in size than other images. So depending on your internet connection, the WordPress image will be downloaded. So let it download. So it will take some time. So now the Docker server has been, sorry, not the WordPress has been installed. So if you try to check the status container, the -a, if you try to check the status of this one, Docker container ps-a, now you will be able to see both the WordPress and also the MySql's containers are started. So now let's check the image also, whether the image is available or not. If you try to see, the WordPress image is also available, that the total size is around 685 MB, little pretty much big, that one. So fine. So now we got the WordPress image also, and also we have did that port forwarding with the 8090 port. Okay, now what is the IP address of this Docker host machine? So Docker, sorry, I will try to do not Docker, IP address show, and this Docker host machine. So here the Docker 0 host machine is 172.117.0.1 and it is listening to, and the Docker host machine is 192.168.0.13. So now I can use something like in the browser. If I go into this browser and here I can search for 192.168.0.13 colon 1890, and if I try to press enter, automatically the WordPress installation will open. See here it is asking you English, continue, and here it is telling that welcome to WordPress. So the database is not existed, so do you want to create a database? Okay, let's go. And here it is asking you the details. Database name, we know that we have given the name as WordPress only, and the username is root, and the password is test1234, and the database host is not localhost, that is nothing but 172.17.0.2. So in this place the container has been installed, right? Table prefix, if you want you can give wp underscore, or otherwise you can leave it. So click on submit. Now see, the database has been successfully created. So now done. So site title is asking, okay, we can give something like leelawebdev, and here username. So let's try to create the username for this one, and I will create the weak password. Fine. And here you can give the email ID. Okay. So now install WordPress. That's it. So now the WordPress will be successfully installed. So it is taking some time to create. So here you'll be able to see the WordPress is loading. So here it will take some time, I think. Yeah, it has been created. So okay, so login. Okay, login, and here you know the test user and the test 1234, and we are able to successfully log in into the WordPress dashboard. So this is the dashboard which you will be able to see. And if you try to see, these are the posts. So if you want to create a new post, you can create it, and if you want to visit the site means directly you can click it here. You will be able to see the website. So this is how we will be installing the WordPress and the MySql in the Docker host machine. So now we have completely installed the Docker host machine. If you try to see Docker container ps-a, we are able to see the two containers are up, and we are able to access the WordPress outside of the Docker host machine. Hope you understood about the installation of the WordPress and the MySQL. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.